Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. So you have to log in. Sodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Ira Manacha. Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama It is sent a text for everybody to know. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama 5 minutes singing. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Ram Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Haribo. Nitai Gaur Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaur Haribol. Gaur Pramanande, Hari Hari Bol, Jayam Vishnupat, Paramhansa Paripraj Gacharya Ashtatara Sri Srimad Srila Bhai Charanavinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Paripurajagacharya Ashtatara Shata Sri Srimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्रील रूप गोस्वामी पाद की जय, भक्ति रसामृत सिंधु ग्रंथ की जय, भक्ति रसामृत सिंधु ग्रंथ पाठ करी श्रोता करी भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर ब्रह्मानंदे। ओम अज्ञानातिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति पदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Sarvame Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschata Deshatarine Pancha Kalpa Taruvesha Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanebho Vaishnavebho Namo Namo Mahabhadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namo He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Binda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuna Sadharma Samstapako Lokanam Hitakarina Tribhuvane Mano Sarana Karo Radha Krishna Padara Binda Bhajana Nande Namataliko Bande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugo Sri Jiva Gopalako Bande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugo Sri Jiva Gopalako Jaya Rupa Goswami, Jaya Rupa Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Jaya Goswami. Jaya Rupa Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Okay, we are very happy and joyful to welcome Mother Anna's presentation of chapter 14 entitled Devotional Qualifications Mystery. From here or on the Zoom?
Just wanted to check you.
Right.
Yeah, kind of integrated in December. Oh, yeah. We'll just
Where is Amrit? Amrit. She went home.
And yesterday she was not feeling good. She was not there. I'm not totally sure.
So she went back to Orlando. She went back to Orlando.
She didn't come back.
By the time she comes back, the session will be over. She can join.
On Sunday. Sunday or maybe Sunday. No, she presents tomorrow. She said she's gonna do it also.
But she can join. If you have access, you can tell her she should join on the Zoom.
Yeah, I did get in touch with her.
Okay.
I'll ask her to see it.
Sorry to hear that. I mean, it's also fact that when you try to empty out something, I don't know if anybody ever did some strange things. You take an empty pot in a water pond, big empty pot, and try to push it down to fill it up. And you'll see the pressure of the water coming from every angle. So when you become a Hare Krishna devotee or you join, the heart starts purifying. That's for you too, Logan. Then what happened? All this unfulfilled pressure of sense enjoyment, they are like, because they never like, well, there is no such thing called fulfilled. It will never be fulfilled. But they're like waiting and you purifying, so they want to just jump in. And sometimes devotee will go through like little, in America we call loco. I don't know if you understand. You know loco, Logan? You do? Yeah. In America also they translate as a schizophrenic, bipolar, I don't know, all kinds of names. But actually loco is little more than that. It's like, I want to be devotee. Why all of a sudden so many unfulfilled desire like pouring in? Because they never really removed from the heart. They are like a dormant impression. So what one should do, just go in high speed in spiritual path. Eventually they will dissolve forever. But a lot of time they turn back. Those soul turn back to the material sense enjoyment. They like a messy operation. They'll come back, but when they come back, it's the same thing. There's no tangible result. So we discussed that this morning. I'm sorry we didn't have much time, but it was a very nice presentation of Mother Prabhupada Devidas. So we are looking for another session. Excited to see Mother Anna's presentation, chapter 14. So you can begin.
Hare Krishna. Yes, so I will be going over chapter 14, the devotional qualities. There are two main concepts to this chapter, and they're pretty simple and very beautiful. I'm really glad that I was able to kind of read through this one and really dig into it in a more depth way. So what I've done is what I did the last time, where I just kind of distilled it down to its most basic points, and that's what's in these slides. And so I'll just kind of go through them and The closed book questions have been integrated a little bit more into this presentation, but it is there, like clearly this is the answer to this question. One of them might be a group discussion too, but I'm interested to see. Yeah, if you guys are able to bring together a little bit more clarity to one of the questions. But that's at the very end. So, started. So, the chapter focuses on renunciation and the role of renunciation. And right from the very beginning, what Prabhupada has to say, Srila Rupa Goswami, can seem a little bit surprising at first. And what it kind of starts with is that the cultivation of knowledge or renunciation can be favorable for gaining a footing in Krishna consciousness. So in the beginning, these can be kind of helpful. But then they also may come to be rejected. Devotional service is dependent on nothing other than the sentiment or desire for such service, and it requires nothing more than sincerity. And so the practice of renunciation or the pursuing of knowledge, they're not necessary or required for devotional service, which is very cool, actually. I was kind of surprised that immediately that's how things started with, that we don't really need these things. So mental speculation and yoga may help liberate from material contamination. And so that's kind of why something like that can be useful. If you're not engaging in pure devotional service, then engaging in jnana or in like Ashtanga yoga can help purify you and kind of withdraw your interactions from the modes. But it's not able to take you any further than that. It doesn't really take you to Krishna. And it also makes your heart harder and harder, which is I really like this sentence because we need to have like a soft heart. We need to have a warm, soft heart to be able to connect with Krishna, to really make that heart be a home for him. Or he wants to communicate with us if we can really listen. And just kind of constantly engaging in renunciation or in pursuing knowledge, speculative knowledge is not helpful for that. It doesn't help us get closer to Krishna. But it can be sort of like an artificial first step if someone doesn't feel like they're ready for devotional service. So how then to approach the Lord? If it's not renunciation, if it's not gathering knowledge, if it's not different types of Ashtanga yoga or dhyan. And the answer to that is devotional service. Devotional service is absolute. It's on the highest platform. It's both the cause and the effect, right? When we engage in devotional service, when we follow the rules and the regulations or the direction of our spiritual master, then it increases our desire to want to perform devotional service. It's both the cause and the effect. And we hear that about Krishna a lot of the time, right? That he is the cause of all causes, that he creates, right? Everything comes from him. And so in the same way, to approach the absolute has to be through an absolute method. And so I think it's really cool to see this kind of mirroring, You have to engage in an absolute process, which is devotional service, to approach the absolute, which is Krishna. And anyone who neglects the process of devotional service will never develop the ecstasy of devotion. And I've kind of emphasized this word ecstasy because I really like it, and that's really what we want, right? We don't want an artificial, superficial level of relationship with Krishna. We want to know him deeply. We want him to sit in our hearts. We want to be able to really have that communion with him and to experience the ecstasy that is our birthright, right? The soul is happy and joyful and abundant and creative and peaceful. And the only way that we can access that through all of our conditionings is through the process of devotional service. So this is kind of this is what the chapter discusses. And that through this cultivation of devotional service, all of the desirable qualities, they automatically manifest in the Vaishnava. And so this is just one of the examples from the text. Krishna is speaking to Uddhava, and he says that profits derive from fruitive activities, austerities, the culture of philosophical knowledge, renunciation, the practice of mystic yoga, charity, and all other similar auspicious activities are automatically achieved by my devotees. These devotees have everything at their disposal, but they desire nothing outside of my devotional service. And so we hear this time and time again throughout the different texts that we've been studying in the Bhakti Shastras. You can start on the yoga ladder if that's what you really need, karma yoga, jnana yoga, and ashtanga, and then hopefully, if you have the grace of the Lord, if you have the mercy of Krishna, then you can come to Bhakti yoga and really start this process of a spiritual life. Or you can just start with devotional service. You can just go straight there. You don't have to go through the process of moving from one state to the next. And so that's kind of emphasized in this chapter is we can just start to approach Krishna. And by engaging in the process of devotional service, that does purify us, that does qualify us. But what it qualifies us for is more devotional service, so that we can get closer to Krishna. And that's what this last bullet point here is. And even one does have attachment still to material enjoyment, he'll be freed by regularly discharging devotional service. So, like was said earlier, it's both the cause and the effect. And so then this kind of brings the question, so what is renunciation? We hear a lot about renunciation. That's one of the opulences of Lord Krishna. He's so renounced. And so how do we practice renunciation? And what is discussed in this chapter is that we need to accept everything enjoyable in relationship to Krishna. And it gives the example of prasada, right? Palatable dishes that taste good, dishes that we like, may be prepared and offered to Krishna. And then it is renunciation. And the way that renunciation is defined here is that it's the vow of rejecting anything which is not offered to Krishna. That is actual renunciation. And through this, one is able to satisfy the demands of the senses.
So how can we see that this is like renunciation, or it's just dovetailing? Is dovetailing also renunciation?
That's a really good question, and I have been trying to understand, because we've talked about this a little bit throughout the course, and especially in this book, I'm trying to understand what is the difference between dovetailing and engaging in pure devotional service. Because Prabhupada says, in the last chapter that I presented over, and then also in this one, he says that it's just about, I think I have something in here about that. Somewhere. Yeah, he's not asking us to do, okay, so Prabhupada doesn't condemn. He simply asks people to do whatever they are doing in Krishna consciousness. And so that's the way that it's discussed here in the Nectar Devotion, which does feel like dovetailing. And I've heard in other contexts that like dovetailing is on a lower platform than engaging in like pure devotional service. But I think that sometimes the reality of the situation is depending on how a person is situated, where in their life they are, how it is that they need to maintain themselves or their family. You're going to have to interact with the external world. Not everyone can live in the temple. And because of that, you have to engage in other things. And so you have to dovetail them. You have to be doing them for the Lord. You have to be engaging in the process through those ways. And I think it's, as long as we're engaging in that process, we can become purified of like any material desires that are still there, and then we can just perform all that work without any material desire. But I think ultimately that's what's said to Arjuna as well in the Bhagavad Gita. So
I also have definition of not attracted to anything material. So in that case of prasadam, technically when we are going to prepare the prasad offer is boga. So that's material thankful. So then when we have like this attraction for it, it doesn't seem it's really attachment.
So it's prasad. Okay, so it is material, but also in a sense because it's being used in the service of Krishna, it's also followed. And it's from the way that my brain is conceptualizing it right now, and someone else can definitely correct me. But because anything that's used in the service of Krishna, it does become spiritualized, right? And so I feel like the boga, any like the cooking utensils, all of it, right, is in the service of the Lord. So it hasn't been offered yet, and so that's why we don't taste things, right? We don't test them beforehand. But while we're performing the act of cooking, right, with this desire or like this consciousness, with these thoughts of, I'm preparing this for Krishna, if that's the loving, that in and of itself is the loving intention, right? And that's what Krishna says in the Gita, right? Just this loving intention, I will accept it. And so it's almost like even in the process of cooking, we're pouring that devotion into the food, which I think is a process of spiritualization right there too. Okay. And so that's, yeah, thank you for that. It was really nice. So this seems to be the conclusion that the chapter is drawing, is that anything that we can use in the service of Krishna is spiritual. That is renunciation. It's not about rejecting everything. That's false renunciation, basically. These yogis, it even talks about that. I'll get to this. But it talks about how some people, they call themselves renounced. There's some in the renounced order of sannyasis who externally they say, you know, only the spiritual is real, all of the material is false. But because they aren't fixed in that, they don't really have that realized, then they fall from their position, and then they they start engaging in more materialized activities like philanthropic work or like political work that isn't connected to the Lord. And so it's saying that that's like false renunciation because it's not sustainable.
Another way to look at it, this is correct what you are saying. Another way to look at it, 3rd chapter, 9th verse. Arjuna, 1st verse, 3rd chapter, Arjuna asks Krishna, since the goal is to be liberated out of this material realm, why not I go to the forest and study till my last breath and I'll get liberation. Krishna were not supporting at all that idea, and he says that no, I want you to fight. So then question is, why you want me to engage in this ghastly warfare? So then he gave this 3.9, if you look at it, Jaggartat karmano annatra lokayam karma bandhana. Tadartha karma konteya mukta sangha samacharit. That you are born with a particular psychophysical nature that I mentioned other day. This has to be understood. We have, whether it's a sannyasi or advanced, we all have some attraction to this material allure, whatever it is. Whether it's money, woman, man, or whatever. Some allure, attraction is there. We have to engage them in Krishna consciousness to get out, and it says Mukta Sangha Samacharit. So the question is, will I be liberated by engaging all this? Yes, you will be liberated. Not only liberated, that will actually satisfy Krishna. But artificially trying to escape from it, it will never be satisfied. Deep down in our heart, we do have an attraction to this material enjoyment. Otherwise, why we are here? What we are doing for so many lives. So that's very important. So Yukta Vairagya in this chapter that you're presenting, Yukta Vairagya is the best. We should not escape from anything. We should rather create a facility. Not that everybody is, you cannot engage everything, but you can create a facility where this atmosphere that people will be attracted to Krishna consciousness. So if you look at that angle also, it can be adapted.
Yeah, that's like you were saying, Yukta Vairagya that's what this chapter is about in verses Falgu. Is it Falgu Vairagya?
Falgu Vairagya.
Yeah, the false renunciation. And so what is true renunciation? What is not true renunciation? And so that's what we're trying to understand is what is renunciation in Krishna consciousness.
Now is the renunciation is not part of the 64 that we are studying. You will not find it actually. But when you perform bhakti, the renunciation has to be there. If renunciation and knowledge, sambandha gyan does not arise, then we are not performing bhakti. It will be artificial bhakti. This has to be very well taken. You have 1.2.7 or something. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayati Asu Vairagyam Gyanam Cha Jat Ahetukam. Vasudeve Bhagavati. When you perform bhakti, you have it, Prabhu. Okay.
By entering devotional service, the personality of God See, Krishna, one immediately acquires causeless knowledge and detachment.
That renunciation we are talking about. Not that we are not involved. We are involved with any way, with everything, but I'm not the enjoyer, utilizer.
Yeah, doing everything for Krishna and with Krishna and with these things. So I'll get to this as well, but part of the vision that we hold, right, is that everything belongs to Krishna. And so when you use it, it should be in his service. And it's very subtle, because that's how the chapter starts, right? It's like, you don't need knowledge, and you don't need renunciation. Those things are not devotional service. They should come when you perform pure devotional service, but in the process of purification, you do need to understand some knowledge. You need to understand what is the role of renunciation. But these two things are, in and of themselves, like byproducts of engaging in service. So it's very subtle. Like they're so intimately intertwined. Prabhupada is explaining also how they're not important and like how they can be false or artificial. And so on that note, what is the result of false renunciation? And so Prabhupada discusses a little bit here. Impersonalists, they may undergo severe austerities, which is, renunciation on its surface, not engaging in activities, not engaging in the world, withdrawing completely from society. But this renunciation is not sufficient for perfection. And artificial renunciation without contact with devotional service is not enough. And because of that, they fall down. And as I was saying, the book talks about how this includes some sannyasis who outwardly claim that spiritual existence is truth and material existence is untruth. But because they cannot reach devotional service, which is the absolute platform, they come back to material activities. They don't see how things can be and need to be and inherently are attached to Krishna at all times. Because they never make it to that level, they fall. And then they engage in like philanthropic work and political agitation that is separate from local work. Like we're talking about, right? It is so the consciousness with which you engage in something, doing something for Krishna, with Krishna's things, that it's not material. And so that's the difference. It's a very subtle difference.
Very good.
Okay. And so then Prabhupada gives us the secret to devotional service. He says, one should not give up anything that can be used in the service of the Lord. And so this pushes against this artificial concept of renunciation of just reject everything, withdraw your senses from everything, withdraw yourself from your family and all social spaces, all material objects. But that's false renunciation. And real renunciation is understanding that one should not give up anything that can be used in the service of the Lord. Prabhupada, that's what he's doing. Prabhupada used typewriters, dictating machines, tape recorders, microphones, airplanes, and people would ask him, if you condemn the advancement of a material civilization, why do you use these things? Isn't this contradictory? Isn't this hypocritical? This is where he says, we do not condemn. We do not condemn. We simply ask people to do whatever they are doing in Krishna consciousness. And as Arjuna is advised by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, as Prabhu was saying, we have to engage in the world. As such something. And it's like people for a certain stage of their life that they're not going to engage in the world. Like right now, we're staying in temples. We're here right now at the temple. We have this great honor and this great privilege of engaging constantly with devotees in this holy space. But there are going to be times where you have to engage in the world, and you have to know how to do that without coming out of Krishna consciousness. You have to know how to do that in a way that you remain spiritualized, or that you do remain spiritualized. You get to share that with others too, right? They see you moving, and they see the way that you are, and they're like, wow, like there's something so special about this person. I don't understand, but I feel so connected to them, and I want to learn from them. Yeah.
Maybe you can say that famous verse, 18th chapter, first verse, was a Kammanam Karmanam Nasham. These questions, last few questions Arjuna had. So from your explanation, what we are understanding, it is not that material desire we have to, material object we have to give up. It is that attachment to the result of our activity. You have 18.1.
I don't think it's one. It might be two.
It's a karmanam nesham annasam kavayovi. Huh?
Part two.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, giving up of activities that are based on material desire is what great learned men call the renounced order of life, sannyas. And giving up the results of all activities is what the wise call renunciation, rather. So it's
Big difference between these
it's about the desire. It's about the intention which you're to do something. We've been talking a lot about 1.1.11, right? And it's about the attitude with which you engage in something. It's not always about what the activity is, it's how you're doing it. It's about the mindset that you're in, it's where your heart is. Who are you doing it for? What are you using to accomplish it? And so, like I was saying a little bit earlier, right, the vision that we hold as devotees is that everything is Krishna. Everything belongs to Krishna. And because of that, everything is naturally used in his service. So we're just naturally using all of these things that are here for their inherent purpose, which is in Krishna's service. It's the same as our purpose, right? We are constitutionally servants of the Lord. That's our role, that's our position. And when we act in that position, we are moving for our greatest and highest good, and for that of others. And so when we use all of Krishna's objects here in that way, we're also using them in their constitutional position, which is really cool. And so this acceptance and rejection of things should always be in pursuance of devotional principles. And there can be a question here of like, well, how do we understand what to accept and what to reject? And so that's where things like the scriptures come into play, right? What are the regulative principles? What are the things that are important to remember? And the role of spiritual master as a visible manifestation of Krishna to direct the devotee. And Prabhupada mentioned just very briefly that, a bona fide spiritual master will never be carried away by the accumulation of money or by followers. And those are the people that are worth learning from. Those are the people that are worth listening to. If you're not sure, you're like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I am engaging in something material. Maybe something does need to be rejected and I'm not sure. So who can you go to then to ask?
We have 12 participants, but doesn't show here. Why is that?
I have no idea.
We have 12 participants. I have no idea who they are.
You there. Right now. Right now.
Right top.
Standard top one.
Oh, I see. Now shows some. Okay. Well, then it's covering this.
Yes, it's fully done.
Okay.
I think have a large slide.
Ah.
Yeah, hit that. No, just click that little.
So
Minimize.
that's a minimize button probably. Click that, that's fine. The
Yeah, you
first
see that little
dash,
one?
yeah.
Just click it.
Just click
There
it,
you go.
that's gone.
But the whole purpose, we wanted to see like who are any.
I don't think you can have both. I don't think you can have both.
You cannot have enjoyment and detachment. It's a good example.
Yeah, we can't always have everything here. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
You're talking about there was a type that dictates some
Yeah.
points for here.
Yeah.
So see a lot of people most of the people now in the country.
Yeah.
And all this mix of the spiritual and mental times so many watching.
Take the microphone. I can't hear. What? Phone is material and spiritual. How?
How we get, I mean, you are using the phone. You're using the phone.
Then it's not spiritual. You have to say spiritualizing. There's a big difference. Because as long you're using for Krishna consciousness, it's spiritualizing. If I talk dirty things, it's not spiritualizing. It's material. So there is a two way to look at it always. One is compositional. Compositional means what is made of. Ingredients or what is made of. Just like 7.4 Krishna says, Bhumi apo analo vayu khammana buddhi revacho. Everybody knows that. These 8 elements is made of material. Krishna declared this, or he called this as a material. So telephone is material, period. But when we talk about Krishna consciousness, we are spiritualizing. As long it is in contact with Krishna, it is spiritualizing. If it is cut, it's no more spiritualizing. It's back to material.
So now, because of that specific this one, it could go to the hell. Sorry. Right? For example, I'm taking to someone who is a positive person and talking, texting something. He, oh my God, I realize now, let me go to this person life, and he talk and he could become a very good man or great person. But if you use that one in, so that could be also really push the people down. So this is also one of the very, how can I say, very, nowadays is very, I mean, everybody use, so that's why I was trying to figure out that proper use that microphones and airplanes and everything, specializing, right? So how we can that combine together, we can put as a mix, or you can put as a, oh, it is only specialized.
Oh, no, that's why you have to look at 2 ways. One is compositional, one is application sense. Application sense, just like one Western body, like Radhanath Swami. He's born material body. It's nothing to do with spiritual. But when he joined with his mind, his body, his senses, his speech, everything he's offering through Prabhupada. So everything is spiritualized. When it is completely spiritualized, is 24 hours a day, that body is worshipable. You can get spiritual potency through that. Just like a iron is dead matter, but in contact with fire, if you really think very deeply, in contact with fire, it will give the fire quality, not iron quality, fire quality. When Prabhupada was challenged in a morning walk, well, it's still iron. Prabhupada said, go touch it. Oh, it will burn. So it is fire. So we have to always keep ourselves very clear on this. Satchidananda is compositional as a spiritual, period. Soul, super soul in this body is spiritual, nothing to do with material. Material elements is material. But whole purpose for us to get out, we have to spiritualize whatever we are in connected. Then we'll get out. Does that make sense? I can use this body, but if I go from tomorrow, if I go for sense enjoyment, it's no more spiritual. As long we have to keep in this very clear. That's why till our last breath. What's the verse 8? We read Nectar of Instruction. Tannama rupa charitadi sukirtananu smitto kramena rasana manushini yujja. Tishtan braje tadunuragi jananugami kalam nayet akhilam iti upadesha saram. Essence of all advice that you keep in contact with this Tannama rupa charitadi. Think about Krishna. Why that verse is the most important in Nectar of Instruction? Because of this. Does that make sense, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I can respond just a little bit, Mohammed, I
Yes.
understand you're asking about this mixed quality, right? And I think that the phone is particularly special because it can do so many types of things, right? Like you said, you can watch a movie or you can listen to a lecture. And whether the phone is material or spiritualized is going to reflect the consciousness of the person, right? Because we need to only use the phone for spiritual things, not to get on Instagram or see how your family is doing on Facebook. Takes a high level of discipline. And so perhaps, yes, your own, I guess your own level of consciousness is being reflected in how you use the phone, whether it's mixed, whether it's mostly spiritual, whether it's mostly material. But the idea, right, is that everything that we use is always spiritual all the time. That's part of it. That's part of it. I am certainly not there.
One time So, here with Maharaj. So, I asked him, Maharaj, I want to take it to how can I? Okay, write down one number. This is a WhatsApp number. So you leave the message or respond, but not right away. So that means he's using that really purposefully.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Very intentionally.
Okay.
That's true. Okay, and so then there's only a few questions for this chapter, and it asks for the types of devotional service listed in Sanskrit or in English, and it asks for an example. And we've been through these, I think, in your chapters just yesterday, Prabhu, right? Yeah. So I'll just go through them. So of course we have Shravanam, right, hearing. The ideal example here is Krishna Maharaj achieved the desired goal of life by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Then we have Kirtanam, right, chanting. Shukadeva Goswami achieved the desired goal of life by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. And all of these are listed out nicely in chapter 14, and I'll share these slides with everyone. So then, of course, Vishnu Smarna, remembering. Prahlad Maharaj became successful by always remembering the Lord. Padasevanam, serving. Lakshmi, goddess of fortune, was successful by engaging herself in massaging the lotus feet of the Lord. Archana, worshipping the deity. King Prithu became successful by worshipping in the temple. Vandanam, praying. Akrura became successful by offering prayers. Dasyam, carrying out orders. Of course, Hanuman became successful by rendering personal service to Lord Ramachandra. Sakyam, serving Krishna as a friend, which is exemplified by Arjuna, became successful by being a friend of Krishna. And then Atmanivedana, sacrificing everything for the Lord. Bali Maharaj became successful simply by offering all of his possessions to Krishna. So there are these 9 ways to serve.
Lakshmi Devi. So Lakshmi Devi serving. So, but Lakshmi Devi is originally but how we can get from the like Hanuman, I know from here, but came down here and doing service for last. There's a post. Oh, he does that way. Like Arjun came down here, but I didn't see in the material world Lakshmi Devi. Like in that mode, you have that somehow that way.
Yeah, I won't be able to answer this.
What is this question? I lost.
Padasevana, since Lakshmi Devi, she's in the spiritual world performing in this way, and all these other examples, someone came to earth, and so we can follow in their footsteps. But for Padasevana, is there another example?
Any example you can say.
That's,
You are also doing Padasevana. What is Padasevana?
but we are not in that.
Are you talking about emblem?
Yeah.
Like somebody has taken that position. Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj is a great example. Not only a great example, he was even competing with Lakshmi Devi. In Bhagavatam you read, Prithu Maharaj was saying that, I hope she doesn't get upset, but I want to serve the Lord by serving his lotus feet. Many examples. I mean, all the great acharyas are like this. You can
Like
say.
a perfection way. When we say perfect.
No, these are just some example given. Not that these are the only example. These are just some example given. Not necessarily this is our only way of looking at it.
Yeah, I'm not talking about this.
When you feel 4 quality within your heart, you are also doing the Padasevana. When you develop 4 qualities, the result of the Padasevana, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, the lotus feet of the Lord, when you feel you have a testing machine within you, Asoko abhaya amrita adhara tumara charana dhay, tahate ekhano vishrama loviya charinu bhavero. So Ashoka abhaya amrita adhara, when you develop this 4 quality, then you are serving the lotus feet of the Lord. Yeah, Ashoka means lamentation, no lamentation. Abhaya, you are fearless, experiencing fearless. When the reporter asked Prabhupada, how do you feel? You are chanting. Say, I feel fearless. I feel fearless. That means he is touching the lotus feet. Lotus feet is not somebody's private property. It is for every soul can have. It's not just only Lakshmi Devi. Amrita Adhara, and then complete shelter. You feel complete shelter. Amrit means eternal, or you can say nectar, drinking nectar, like that. Okay, further.
Okay, we're almost done. We just have a couple more questions, and I'm gonna read. There's a lot happening on the slide. I'm just gonna read it to you, so you don't have to
Sure.
look at the slide if you don't want to. But it's just the story of King Ambarish. So King Ambarish, first of all, he engaged in all nine of the devotional services, right? He concentrated his mind on the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, and then engaged his speech in describing the pastimes and activities of the Lord. He engaged his hands in washing the temple of the Lord. He engaged his ears in hearing of the transcendental glories of the Lord. He engaged his eyes in seeing the beautiful deity in the temple. He engaged his body in associating with the pure devotees of the Lord. When you associate with somebody, you have to sit down together, eat together, etc. And in this way, the touch of your body with his body is inevitable. Ambarish Maharaj made his association only with pure devotees and did not allow his body to be touched by anyone else. He engaged his nostrils in smelling the flowers and tulsi offered to Krishna. And he engaged his tongue in tasting Krishna prasad, food prepared specifically for offering to the Lord, the remnants of which are taken by devotees. Maharaj Ambarish was able to offer very nice prasad to Krishna because he was a king and had no scarcity of finances. He used to offer Krishna the most royal dishes and would then taste the remnants as Krishna prasad. There was no scarcity in his royal style because he had a very beautiful temple wherein the deity of the Lord was decorated with costly paraphernalia and offered high-grade food. So everything was available, and his engagement was always completely in Krishna consciousness.
Do you know how he was glorified as a great devotee of all these 9 process?
So how?
Do you know how? I know a lot of devotees in here. We can discuss that. Why, how Ambarish Maharaj is the great example of Navavida Bhakti, 9 process of limbs of Bhakti, why he is emblem or example. When? How? You are doing Bhakti too, but I didn't see your name in the book yet. You think Prabhupada didn't do it? You think a lot of devotees don't do that? They do. There's a little more than that. Maybe we can just... What's his name? Saptarishi. Saptarishi Prabhu. They are visiting. Oh, Hare Krishna, welcome. Would you like a special blessing of the Lord? Okay, you raise your hand. We're going to chant 3 times loudly. Okay. You all can raise your hand and you will be uplifted to spiritual world with the divine personality. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. One more time. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. May Lord be with you and you have a wonderful journey in this life. End of your life, go back to God. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thanks for visiting.
Thank you for letting us
Hare Krishna.
see your state.
Thank you. No, after you finish, or how far are you?
Yeah,
You never know. You do this and then we never know.
Okay, I don't want to deprive you. I'll tell you. No, I have that habit. Time some or other. I don't control time in case if you wonder. You know who controls time?
You are in
Who?
Abadut.
Yes, time.
His time or he controls time?
Abadut, you are in Abadut.
Huh?
You are in Abadut. So you
Abadut.
you are in out of control.
Yeah. Spaced out.
So now,
You know, Abadut has another name called spaced out.
Spaced out.
You never heard it? It's a slang in America.
Wow.
Oh, this duty, he's just spaced out. Don't worry about
Okay. Oh, bad thing.
Abadut.
Now, Abba means coming down. Dut means messenger. When the Lord or His divine personality comes down to our level, it's called Abba Duta, Abba Dut.
And
But, but there is a slang way translation is spaced out.
We've seen it in the
So-
videos.
Ambarish Maharaj, I'll give you one story. There are many stories of Ambarish Maharaj because he's one of the big, nine canto, 4 chapter, 5 chapter, 2 chapter assigned to him. I mean, in Bhagavatam, 2 chapter assigned to him. So there's a famous verses. Famous verses like 9.4.64 is one of the verse that I love. It's like a candy, you can chew it. That's Ahamatma Gura Kesha. No. Krishna. Krishna. Is a Naham Tishtami Boy. No. That is also there. But I'm talking about 9.4.64. 9th canto, 9.4.64. You found it? Nayam Mad Bhakti Sadhavi Vina. Sriyam Aikantiki Jasam Gati Aham Para. This is so beautiful. Can you imagine? The not multi, is unlimited, what is the word? Krishna's opulence, whatever. We say billionaire, but he is unlimited. He says here, Nayam Atma Asase, this opulence is mine. What? We can hear Prabhupada's translation. Go ahead.
For best of Brahmins, without saintly persons for whom I am the only destination, I do not desire to enjoy my transcendental peace and my supreme opulence.
He will not enjoy, Krishna is revealing, he will not enjoy any of his opulences without the devotee. I mean, can you imagine? I meditate on that verse. There are a few verses on that chapter. You can meditate. Wow. He owns everything, but he said, Jasam Gati Ahampara. That word, third line, I think. Jasam Gati Ahampara. For them, whose only livelihood is me, I'll never enjoy anything without them. You want to be with God? He said, you can have all my stuff. Not stuff in a bad sense. This is another slang in America. Stuff. Like all my opulences, power, everything. This is so wonderful, isn't it? So lovely. Aham bhakta paradina hisha tantra ivaddija. Yeah, that's another famous verse. Anyhow, there are many verses. I'll just go to the story. It's beautiful.
So, in a short form, whatever that we want in this Upanishad, keep reciting the same shloka multiple times, is it gonna uncover for us?
Yes, 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 yes. I mean, there was a time to become a millionaire is like a goal. And now I look at it, it's just like stupid idea. But I went through both. But Krishna gave also, you know what I mean? Krishna gave. Was not out of frustration. 4 ways you can come to Krishna. In a practical way. First you come out of your need. Lot of people comes, majority people comes out of need. Out of, people moves out of fear. Fear is a big emotion. People moves out of fear. When death comes, when COVID came, I saw out of fear people moves. They really go to temple, churches. Wow, temple is packed. Everybody has mask came, I think, little later. After a few weeks, mask came or month. But in the beginning, everybody came. Even the mosque was packed in San Diego, I remember. 4 way you comes. 3rd way you comes out of frustration. There are a lot of people actually join to Hare Krishnas also out of frustration. But these are okay. But the best one is when you come out of knowledge and better than the best one is when you come out of love. But saying that not possible, everybody will come out of love for Lord. I mean, they do have some attraction, but not love, very rare. But out of knowledge is better. You remember 58, we talked about first day, that when you come, whatever you're moving forward towards Krishna, if it is backed up by a good understanding, you will be touching the love particles right there. And then it will be like strong foundation. You will not go back. Those who are very fixed with the love and knowledge together, because he says, again that verse, Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayajita Janati Asu Vairagam Jnanam Cha Jat Ahetukam. When we come with on these two principles, then you will stay forever, eternally. You will be free from Maya. Okay, why I went that route? So Ambarish Maharaj, I come back to the Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish Maharaj had many wives, and he was really dedicated to serve the Lord, but he was not interested. That reminded me, there was one sannyasi. No, I'll just tell you very quick, because Prabhupada went to Patna. And Prabhupada went to that person's house, and previously they were king. So I met him, and he told us, I was a little boy, and Prabhupada said something, it struck me, that's why I became devotee. I said, what is it? So Prabhupada asked his father, he's come from a royal family, says, how is the deities? I guess Prabhupada knew their deity, the family deity. He said, the Brahmana is doing, they're doing the puja and everything. Prabhupada said, that's not what it meant. Do not ever hire. This is a Hindu idea or Christian idea. You should worship the God directly, not hiring somebody to do. Unless you are sick, that's difference. But generally, devotion means you're supposed to do yourself. Offer it to the Lord. You chant your name. Nobody can chant for you. I mean, you can do like Ekadashi, result you can transfer. But chanting the love, how would you like? Let me use Phil. Phil, how would you like to fall in love with a girl through interpreter? I don't know if you ever thought about it.
Quite slow, frustrating, and I think I would fall in love just as fast.
No, I just thought about it because This is like a falling in love through interpreter. Is it, I love you. Interpreter is saying, well, he's saying to you, I love you. And then the girl will be looking at the interpreter. You? No, I don't like you. So through interpreter is like very difficult. To be honestly, if you don't speak the language, what do you do? So something like this. Back to Ambarish Maharaj. So Ambarish Maharaj was doing this. At one point, Narad Muni came there. So Narad Muni says on the Hare Krishna. So Narad Muni says that I just came from this Mithila kingdom, and Rajkanna, the youngest daughter, she wanted to marry you. Ambarish Maharaj says, I don't have time. Even the queens I don't have a time to spend time with them. So she will be deprived. No. She heard your devotion to God. And she is a devotee. She said she will not marry anybody but you. So it was going on, persisting. And can you imagine, Narad Muni is involved in that. You want to, okay. They can mute it. So then Narad Muni says, well, you have to arrange some way. When Narad Muni is persistent, you cannot escape from it. So then Ambarish Maharaj says, here, he pulled out his sword, said, she can marry this sword. This sword is also part of my body. So she can marry the sword and then leave it with that. Because I don't have a time to talk or spend time. So this news went there. So she agreed, okay, I'll marry the sword. So she came, the Ambarish Maharaj's kingdom. When she came there, she was noticing all the wives, they are in their palace and they are doing their things. And Ambarish Maharaj, 24 hours, literally, he lives in the temple. He cleans the temple, he dresses the deity, cooks for the deity, he cleans everything. No servant, even though he's king, but no servant, he does everything. So then she noticed that sometime he goes to take bath in the river. She immediately came. He said, now is the time I need to do something what he could not do. So she got into, then serving, little. And one day Ambarish Maharaj said, I'm doubting somebody is doing my service. Because he thought of cleaning the backside of the temple after he comes back. He comes back, this is clean. Somebody washed the pot. Who is doing it? So he found out there's the new wife is doing this. So one day he was hiding behind the curtain and said, why you are on my way to serve the Lord? I am doing 24 hours all my service. And if you really, then she fell at the feet. My Lord, you are my husband. But at least allow me to serve. Then take the deity and serve. So she took the deity. She followed his order. She took the deity to her palace and she started serving. So then Ambarish Maharaj is busy in his temple. She is busy in her new temple with Ambarish Maharaj's deity. Narad Muni comes. Narad Muni comes. Can you go there? Okay, thank you. And Narad Muni comes there. Narad Muni goes there and Narad Muni says, it's interesting. There is another service going on. So he goes there and he spent time and said, very nicely she is dressing. So nicely. Narad Muni says, the Lord appeared here. I see that. And then he went to Ambarish Maharaj. He says, something very mysterious happened in your kingdom. So Ambarish Maharaj always very friendly with Narad Muni. Please come, I'm just serving. Please have a seat. Let me serve you. He said, well, now I have a two temple to visit in your kingdom. He said, oh yeah, yes. Beside this, which one? He says, your youngest wife, which he was the, what you call, matchmaker. So he said, yes. He said, but very surprisingly, the Lord is also there. He's taking the service. I see that. And I go there because of her devotion. I feel very attracted to go there. Ambarish Maharaj says, I'm very happy that you gave me. Would you like to come with me? Narad Muni says. Ambarish Maharaj says, okay, I'll go with you. Since Narad Muni is calling, what can he do? So he goes to this queen's palace. So queen is so happy that finally husband came to visit her. And Narad Muni is there. And was wonderful. So the ministers, they never have a time. They take care of the kingdom. And Ambarish Maharaj says, I don't have time. You take care of everything. I am busy with my Lord. So then the minister is watching. Oh, now he is going, at least first time we see somebody's place. So the minister asked the Narad Muni, is there a way we can do something that he will come? He said, yes, you install a deity. So all the ministers started installing deity. And Narad Muni is coming, visiting all, and Ambarish Maharaj also visiting with Narad Muni. Then the other commander chief and everybody said, we want to do this. They started doing it. The Brahmana started doing it. Kshatriya started doing it. Whole country was filled with temple. And Ambarish Maharaj does only one thing now. Goes to every temple, every day in different temple. And is visiting everybody. They never saw the king. Now they are seeing the king. And he engaged the whole country worshipping the Lord. That's why he is famous. Now, I'll end with this little anecdote called that you ever wonder why Durvasa came to challenge? Durvasa is a very advanced devotee. Prabhus and mothers, in case Durvasa Muni comes, because he can come anywhere in America. I mean, Lord Shiva, Narad Muni, they come in our temple. According to Prabhupada, he saw. And he said, give a seat. And she was telling, if I don't put my bag here, because Narad Muni may come and sit there. Why not? That's true. That's true. I mean, it's possible that they come. Prabhupada saw them. In New York, Prabhupada saw Lord Shiva has come. In Dallas, Texas, Prabhupada said, give a seat to Narad Muni, and devotee saying, where? Prabhupada said, give a seat, give a chair. And he saw. He said, yes, please have a seat now. So Narad Muni comes in Dallas, Texas. Why not Deland? Yeah, why not? So anyway, so in what we are discussing right now, they are also having conversation in heaven. Anytime you become serious, they are having noting all this. Which human is getting serious? Because, well, out of fear, Indra always afraid. You know who can take his position? No sages will take. From other higher planet, he's not afraid. Nobody comes. Only human from here. Only the human from here can take over Indra's position, and he has a fear. So Indra, they are having discussion. What? Let's see the list of the people. And believe or not, you will see them that anybody anywhere in this planet is serious spiritually. Indra really watch. He may send even a boyfriend or girlfriend to allure you or divert you. It's a fact. Because Krishna, Indra doesn't know whether he want to take his position or what is. Actually, okay, Krishna, thank you for reminding so many things. But one thing was very interesting. Prabhupada says one purport. What will happen the next government of Manu? You know, Manu who runs this sun, this air, everything is under Manus. All the demigods under Manu. 6 entities. Yeah, 6 entities. 6 entities in every government of Krishna. Manu is creating the future Manu, then Indra, Saptarishi, then one incarnation of the Lord appear. Like these 6 entities, always. If you can remember like this, you can remember the whole Manu dynasty. So then Indra is going one by one. At one point they say, oh, there is a king. He is very sincere and serious in spiritual path. What's his name? Ambarish. And Durvasa is watching. He said, what's the big deal about Ambarish? I know Ambarish. He said, he's a great sage. He's not sage. Durvasa is thinking, I am Brahmana. I am Sannyasi. Who is Ambarish? Brahmana, Kshatriya. Who is higher? Me. Brahmana. And this is for Varna. What about the ashram? He is Grihastha. Ambarish is Grihastha. He has a family wife. And I am Durvasa, Sannyas. So both way I am above. How can Ambarish be higher? Indra is concerned. So I don't know. I hope he doesn't want to take over my position. Ambarish said, Durvasa said, let me test. That's why he came. And then the whole story is beautiful. Beautiful. You can read it or we can talk another time. Very beautiful. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Young age,
What?
when he was young age, how you were.
Ambarish Maharaj's.
Yeah.
That will take 2 hours.
Yeah, later.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful pastor. He's a great devotee. Great devotee. Sure.
In that pastime, very important thing is that we should tell him that, I am not at all independent. It's like chess to woman, control the husband. Like that, I am controlled by my third.
Maybe you can put those 2 verses in the WhatsApp.
Okay.
Both verses are important. Sadhava hridayam mahayam, sadhunam hridayam tamo. Mad annet na janati, naham tebba manangabi. Who are the sadhus? They don't know anything but me. What about Krishna? Does Krishna knows everything? In that verse he said, no, I know only my devotees. You mean you don't care about others? Well, they don't care for me. Why should I? Now that's, I'm putting a logic. But actually he said like this. Can you read that, Prabhu? Sadhava hridayam mahayam, Sadhunam hridayam tam aham. Mad annat na janati naham tebba manangapi. Naham tebba manangapi. Okay, please.
The pure devotee is always within the core of my heart, and I am always in the heart of the devotee. My devotees do not know anything else but me, and I do not know anyone else but them.
So here Krishna is saying, don't ask me why he doesn't care for others. You can ask him. He said, I care for devotees. He cares for all of us. He does, really.
This one and the other one,
Yeah. Ahami.
Bhakta Parad.
Yeah, Aham Bhakta Paradi. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. So question number 3, chapter 14, asks to explain the significance of the example of Maharaj Ambarisha's practice of devotional service.
Explain the significance. What was the question again?
Explain the significance of the example. So this will be probably kind of different for everyone depending on which pulab is being the most significant. But right, Maharaj Ambarisha was engaging all of his senses using like all 9 of the devotional services.
That verse is given, no? Shabai Mano Krishna Padara Vinde Bachang Sivaikund. That's the verse. That's the verse most important on that explanation. Okay.
So he employed all of the devotional services. And what struck me, right, is because he was able to, because of the position that he was in his life, right, because he was king, he had all of these riches, these opulence, and all of these resources. And so he was employing all of them in service to Krishna, right? It wasn't like, oh, I'm a great devotee, and so because of that, I have to remove myself, I have to renounce from all of these things. No, let me use all that I have in service to Krishna, right? And so
That kind of goes back, like, said like dollars, whatever. It's good to have money, but then you can use it in a much better way. You can do a lot of things.
Thank you.
right, yeah, that's great, thank you. And so the book goes on to say, right, that we should follow in the footsteps of great devotees, but if we cannot execute all 9 items of devotional service, we must try to execute at least one. And so I just a couple of bullet points about that point as well, but I'm almost done. So we need to execute at least one, and Prabhupada says that with the first complete engagement, one automatically becomes detached from material contamination. And so you don't have to engage in all 9 processes. You just have to choose one and really, really engage. And when you become detached from material contamination, then liberation becomes the maid servant of the devotee, which we discussed yesterday as well. And that regulative principles, they're seen as the path of serving the Lord in opulence. And so
That's very nice.
yeah, that's how the chapter ends.
In the answer, do you put the sloka also?
I don't know. If
That sloka is not there.
Yeah, I don't think
Prabhupada didn't give any sloka, but that verse,
what is the verse?
Sabe mana Krishna padara binda bachang sivaikanta gunana varnane karo harer mandira marjana yeshu. This verse you will find is in the 9.4 in that chapter. What's the number? You put Sabai, Vai, V-A-I, Sabai, Mana, Manaha, M-A-N-H, Manaha, Krishna, Padara Binda, Pachangshi Vaikunta Gunana Parna. Very sweet verse. You can sing whole day and think like, am I doing it? What it says.
You know which verse it is?
Yeah.
Sabai, S-A-V-A-I.
Well,
You want me to find?
9.
9, 4.
It's only 2 chapters, 9.4 and 9.5. Padara Bindayo. You found it?
Yeah.
What's the number?
What's the number?
That is 9.
9.4.
You said 22?
Yeah,
bro?
9.
Oh,
Okay, 9 or 18, 20.
Oh, okay.
9.4.18. I
18
should
to 20.
remember.
Okay, yeah, I see.
I know 9.4, that's all. 18. Okay, 9.4.
Okay, Maharaj Ambarish, so this is 9.4.18 to 20. Maharaj Ambarish always engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna. But this is just an explanation of it.
Now every part
Every part. Yeah.
of his body, how he engaged.
Yeah, engaged his mind in meditating upon the lotus feet of Krishna. his words in describing the glories of Krishna, his hands in cleansing the Lord's temple, and his ears in hearing the words spoken by Krishna or about Krishna. He engaged his eyes in seeing the deity of Krishna, Krishna's temples, and Krishna's places like Indra and Papa. He engaged his sense of touch in touching the bodies of the Lord's devotees. He engaged his sense of smell in smelling the fragrance of tulsi offered to the Lord. And he engaged his tongue tasting the Lord's prasad. He engaged his legs in walking to the holy places and temples of his head in bowing down before the Lord, and all his desires in serving 24 hours a day. Indeed, Maharaj Ambarish never desired anything for his own sense gratification. He engaged all his senses in devotional service and various engagements related to the Lord. This is the way to increase attachment to the Lord and be free from material desires.
Wonderful. This may be too long answer. Okay, that's good.
Okay, so this is the last question, and this is the last slide that I have. What is the meaning of Yukta Vairagya? And so this is not explicitly defined in the text. This phrase actually does not appear at all in the Nectar of Devotion. But this is renunciation, which is what the entirety of the chapter is about. And so true renunciation, which is rejecting anything that isn't in the service of the Lord, is kind of what I came up with as an answer to this, which in conjunction to that, I think would accepting everything in relation to the Lord. Not rejecting anything that isn't, or rejecting anything that isn't in the service, and accepting everything that is in the service. So kind of that positive side.
One of the 4 verses we read.
It's not the 4 verses that we read, yeah. It's number 8.
Anasaktasya vishayan jataram upajunjata nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yukta vairagam uchyate. Very good. That's the verse. That's the answer.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
When one is not attached to anything, but at the same time accepts anything in relation to Krishna, one is rightly situated.
Very good. Very
Well
good.
then, my dear devotees, that very much is it.
Haribol, very nice. Now, would you like to start? Why not? Yeah, start it and then we'll end next session.
Good. Can you give me permission?
Oh, sure. Sure. Dr. Rama Nischala.
Probably that's my work Zoom, so I always use that title, and here you just call me just Ramya. You don't have to say doctor. So,
No, it says Dr. Rama Nischala.
my Zoom is from work.
She and her.
It's from my work.
Doctor.
So,
And her.
yeah, that's pronounced. Yeah, that's what Prabhu, because it's proverb. That's why we have to put it like that.
That's good.
Chala. Like my dad
Steady.
wanted me to have like a steady doctor. My life don't deviate from God. That's why he Ramya is Chala. That is Chala.
Rama is Lakshmi.
And also beautiful.
Brajagopi. Rama Kachi Dupasana Brajabodhu Virge.
I know Ramya.
Gopis. Mahaprabhu quoted. Rama Kachi Dupasana Brajabodhu. Yeah, famous. Yes.
Perfect. Hare Krishna. So start with prayers first.
Nana Shastra Vicharanai Nipuna Sadharma Samstapaka Lokanam Hitakarina
Tribhuvane
Manya
Manya Karo
Put yourself on Zoom.
Radha Krishna Padara Binda Bhajana Nande Namataliko Bande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugo Sri Jiva Gopalako Bande Rupa Sanatana Raghujugo Sri Jiva Gopalako. Before we begin to you, we like to thank to Mother Anna for her wonderful presentation. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Now we have a new presentation. We are very excited for this Raganuga Bhakti, these two chapters.
So just to confirm, I mute myself, but still I'm audible to all that.
You can ask. There are 14 people. Can someone from the Zoom tell us whether you can hear her? Go ahead, speak, please.
Hare Krishna, so dear devotees who are online, can you all hear me clear?
Yes, Mataji. Haribol.
So today we'll talk about Raganuga Bhakti. Couple of chapters, chapter 15 and 16. Section is spontaneous devotion service. We just saw in Anna Mataji's presentation 9 types of devotional service. This is yet another representation, visual representation that makes it for us to remember what are different kinds of devotional service. And it is also stated in Srimad Bhakti 7. So, but now we'll see what exactly or how we can improve ourselves in this devotional service. So before we get there, first I want to tell you like how most people go to Krishna. One example that we always read here is from Bhagavatam 7:1 and 13. Kamad Vesad Ayat Snehan Yata Bhakteshwara Mana Aveshya Tat
Agam Hitta Bhavat. How did you get that? Yeah. It's very nice verse.
Yeah. So the translation is, many persons have attained liberation simply by thinking of Krishna with a great attention and giving up sinful acts. This great attention may be due to lusty desires, chemical feelings, fear, affection, or devotion. I shall now explain how one seeks Krishna's mercy simply by concentrating on his mind. Yeah. So one of the famous examples that we always hear is Krishna and Shishupala. So, yeah, there are multiple ways of like going to Krishna. Some people go to him out of fear. When I was young, when I was in college, I always used to see my cousins were temples, right? The sense of not anyone at that time. And then that kind of continued even when they have to apply for the jobs or if they're getting married or things like that. But yeah, it's just one way. Something is better than nothing, right? So anyway, so for us, what is important is how do we bring Krishna close to us? This is what this particular chapter talks about. Yes, we do all sorts of devotional service, and then we also obtain knowledge. So I want to ask, I have some options for you. You can tell whether it is right or not. So what brings Krishna close to us? Is it by knowledge? Yes or no?
If it is related to Krishna.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. No. Is it by renunciation?
If it is a product of bhakti.
It's true renunciation. If you're doing it purpose to like so the answer is no.
But when you say that question by renunciation, no.
No.
By knowledge, no.
No. Yes. Yes. Yes, that's right. By sincerity. So Lord Krishna can be obtained only through bhakti. Bhaktya mam abhijanati. And we have already learned in this chapter or in this book in the ocean the favorable state of mind, right? Anukulyena Krishna, whatever is favorable for Krishna. So first we have to be very sincere. That means we have to discipline ourselves in multiple levels. And I think this goes back to the discussion of Mahatma talking about cell phones or smartphones. So that discipline should come within. I mean, nobody's watching. That's what we think, but there is Lord is always watching us continuously. We just cannot escape.
That's good.
And everything, whatever that we do, if we just do that in service of Krishna, then we are not advanced. Okay, so now here we have. So also in Bhagavatam it says that in 11:20:34, Nakinchet Sadho Dhira Bhakta he ekantino mama vanchate api maya dattam kaivalyam apano. What does that mean? The translation. Because my devotees possess saintly behavior and deep intelligence, they completely dedicate themselves to me and do not desire anything besides me.
Very good.
Even if I offer them liberation from birth and death, and they do not accept. Right? So we don't want it, just emotion, right? So we want. And also, just if you look at the options that we have, is it like now can we get close to Krishna just by knowledge or just by renunciation? No, but then if you combine it with the active activities or with the Krishna consciousness and have that knowledge to make yourself more closer to Krishna, then in that case, yes, there is a certain difference there. Okay, so coming to this one.
But you're sincerely
Sincerely.
trying to get help.
Yes.
You're sincerely trying.
Yes, yeah. So yeah, this is having a saintly behavior and deep intelligence. So both of these, it's just not just reading the books, but also having that application practically in our life and being sincere that God is watching us, if not anyone else is watching us. So this main topic of spontaneous devotional service, Rasamrita Bhakti, what does that mean? So before we go there, parallelly, let's also go through some chapters. So if you open chapter 15, page number 112, the edition that we have, the latest edition. So in the last, so the whole, there's a conversation in the last chapter. So I want to do
There Narada says, "My dear king, there are many devotees who first become attracted to the personality of Godhead for purpose of sense gratification, from being envious of him, out of fear of him, or from desiring to associate affectionately with him. Ultimately, these attractions become free from all material contaminations, and gradually the worshipper develops spiritual love and achieve that ultimate goal of life desired by the pure devotee."
So before if we ever want to get to this position, which we all want to, first we have to clear ourselves or purify ourselves from all sorts of material contamination. So in this chapter, it's defined as a Ragamula, which is a practice of bhakti, and that's it for advanced devotees intend to cultivate the sentiments of a particular rasa. It can be neutrality, servitorship, friendship, parenthood, and conjugal love. But in order to have any of these, first we need to clear or purify ourselves. Actually, this goes to a conversation I had with Annie yesterday, where she was actively trying to talk to everybody and trying to understand what kind of particular rasa that they would like to have with the word. Yeah, but for us to get to that position, I think a lot of things that we need to correct ourselves. And for example, here we have Lord Hanuman. As we all know, he's known for he's an emblem of servitorship at any point of time. Right? So what in a Ragamula, if you think a little deeply, what is Raga? Raga means attachment, having any kind of affection or attachment. In our case, our attachment is supposed to be with Krishna all the time, but then in the materialistic life that we are living right now, we kind of go on and on. Yes, we think, yes, we have devotees and so on, but then as soon as we touch our mobile or we go out, then we just get distracted. But then, time and again, we just need to pull ourselves back, tell that, well, it's all temporary. I need to come back to Krishna. Okay. Now, Ragatmika means perfection of raga. So now, what is the qualification that one should have in order to get this kind of devotional service? It is having anartha nivriti. That means getting away from all sorts of material contaminations. Now, this question is always for us. We need to ask ourselves, what am I? Where am I? Right? So this kind of question is, we forget, but then it has, somehow we have to get this question into our blood and then keep asking ourselves every time. May that be in service or like, for example, yeah, when we talk about service in general, most people don't like to do is cleaning, cleaning, right? So, but then we have to tell ourselves, am I doing it? Am I doing it myself? Is it out of my false ego, or am I doing it to help to serve the Lord? Right? I'm just giving that as an example. So at that point, then it doesn't become an activity of cleaning, but it becomes as a service to Krishna. Since we are now in this on-site program, and I just took the example of the cleaning. Okay, now I have a question for you. So who are these Ragatmika Bhaktas? Any thoughts?
There is a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita about the Brajavasis. Iste sarasiki raga paramavistata bhaved tanmayi ja bhaved bhakti sa ragatmika udita. If we do not understand the Ragatmika, we cannot say Raganuga, because Raganuga means follower of Ragatmika. The mood, sentiment of the Ragatmika are eternal associate of Lord in Vrindavan Dham. The eternal associate of the Lord are called Ragatmika. Iste Sarasiki Raga. So they have a one-pointed love. What kind of love? Sarasiki Raga. Parama Abhishtada Bhavet. They are very absorbed in Lord. Every way, through their emotion, through their thinking, feeling, willing, every time, all the time. Paramavishtuta bhavet, tanmayi ja bhavet bhakti. And according to that, when somebody has like a chataka bird, I don't know if you are familiar with chataka bird. Chataka bird is a species who only look for water from rain clouds. They will never drink water from lake or anywhere else. Even the water is there. Means there, when a person's devotion, attachment to a particular aspect of God, Krishna in Vrindavan, then they do not enjoy anywhere, only from that source. That they are called Ragatmika because they are completely.
He doesn't get excited.
Can you unmute? Unmute. You want me to make you co-host? Okay. Go ahead. Iste Sarasiki Raga.
Ragatmika Bhakti Mukhya Brajavasi Jan.
So yes, the answer is right. So yeah, I just have this, the Chaitanya Rasamrita Sindhu 22:149. Ragatmika Bhakti Mukhya
It's a nice picture.
Brajavasi Jane. Tara Anurata Bhaktira Raganugam. So the translation is, the original inhabitants of Vrindavana are attached to Krishna spontaneously devotional service. Nothing can compare to such a spontaneous devotional service, which is called Ragatmika Bhakti. When a devotee follows in the footsteps of the devotees of Vrindavana, his devotional service is called Ragamika. So yeah, the answer to the question that we have, who are these Ragamika Bhaktis? As we all know, it's the residents of Vrindavana.
No.
So
Your question is, who is Raganuga Bhakta?
Yeah, that was in the previous one.
The question is Raganuga Bhakta or Ragatmika?
Ragatmika. Yeah, Ragatmika.
Raganuga means follower of Ragatmika.
Yeah, followers of.
In the same mood.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So these Ragatmika Bhaktas, they are at a very elevated situation where they are already perfect with all kinds of religious principles. And that's where then it gets very easy or spontaneous for them to just serve Krishna with a lot of. So, as we know, as Pralanand Prabhu already mentioned, so it's one of the examples of the devotees and also the members of the Yadu dynasty. But if you think of it, even the King Kamsa and Sisupala, they cannot be called as Ragatmika Bhaktas because of their attitudes or the situation that they are in due to their fear and envy. So they only got the sunshine. I mean, if we look at the analogy of the sun and sunshine, so they got the sunshine, but they do not go to the sun glow because of their attitude. Yeah. So Prabhu.
The attraction of gopis of Krishna, the attraction of the members of the dynasty, both accepted things. The attraction of Kamsa to Krishna in fear, the attraction of Situpal in envy are not accepted as devotional service. However, because their attitudes are not favorable, devotional service should be executed only in a favorable framework. Therefore, according to Sri Rupa Goswami, such affections are not considered to be in devotional service. Again, he analyzes the affection of the Yadu. If it is on the platform of friendship, then it is spontaneous love. But if it is on the platform of regularity principle, then it is not. And only when affection comes to the platform of spontaneous love, it is counted in the category of pure devotion.
So for us to get to this situation, or to this level of loving Krishna, so we know that we have to free from all sorts of material consumption, but also along with that is we need to have a strong desire or equality. So once we have such a kind of strong desire to so also in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 22, 156 and 157, it says that Bahya Antara Ihara Durita Sadhana, Bahya Sadhaka Dehe Kare, Sravana Kirtana, Mani Nija Siddha Deha Kariya Bhavana, Ratri Dine Kare, Braja Krishna Raseva. Actually, this chapter, like in the Madhya Leela chapter, it is all about, most of it is about So the translation of this verse is that there are two processes by which one may execute the raga, external and internal. When self-realized, the advanced devotee externally remains like a neophyte and executes all the sattvic injunctions, especially those concerning hearing and chanting. But within his mind, in his original purified self-realization position, he serves Krishna in Vrindavan in his particular way. He serves Krishna 24 hours a day, all day and night. Our hope is that we get to that position or situation one day. So now, so the spontaneous devotional service is primarily classified into two types. One is sensual attractions, otherwise called as Kamarupa. That's particularly in chapter 15. And the second division is a relationship or Sambandhana Rupa. That's in chapter 16. So the Kamarupa or the essential attractions.
Shriram. Is that Shriram?
No.
That's not your son? He looks like
that one day, definitely.
He looks like that.
Yeah. I have a strong desire to see him like that one day. Krishna's willing. Yeah. So in a Kamarupa, so it's the primary goal here is to satisfy the Lord's senses. And so in page number 122, last paragraph, it says, the lusty attitude of the gopis does not refer to any sort of sex indulgence. Srila Rupa Goswami explains that this lusty desire refers to the devotee's particular attitude of association with Krishna. Every devotee every devotee in his perfectional stage has a spontaneous attraction to the Lord. This attraction is sometimes called the lusty desire of the devotee, or in this case is a kamarupa. The lust is the devotee's excessive desire to serve the Lord in a particular capacity. Such a desire may seem to be a desire for enjoying the Lord, but actually the endeavor is to serve the Lord in that capacity. Here we also see examples of, so this kind of kamarupa or sensual attractions is also approved by the Devai, also Mahaprabhu, because of the way gopis love Krishna spontaneously or unconditionally. So then we also hear the stories of Kuja's love towards Krishna. So now I want to ask, is Kuja's love, is it Kamarupa? Is it same as gopis? The Kuja's love.
Kubja,
Kuja's
Ravana's
love,
sister.
Is it same as gopis love?
No, you have to say, is this Raganuga Bhakti?
Yeah, is this Raganuga?
Is this Kamarupa Raganuga? Yes.
Kamarupa Raganuga
Yes.
Bhakti?
Yes.
No?
Yes.
Yeah,
There are three divisions.
So before you explain, Prabhu, I want to ask Anna, because she said no, I just want to.
Oh, just that I've been doing the question. What I found in the text was that her affection for Krishna is called Kamapraya, or almost like the gopis love for Krishna.
Yeah. Good. Good.
But you want to
Well, so we are following out of these six that in the beginning, out of this, that verse you quote, the first verse, Kamat deshat bhayat sneha jata bhakti ishware man. Abeshu to agam hitta bhavata gatim gata. Abesha, by the absorption, all these categories. So out of these six, two are unfavorable. You read in the beginning. What are those two unfavorable? Deshat and bhayat. Yes, fear and hate. Example is Kamsa, Ravana. I mean, you can give many examples. And Shishupal is the Deshat, he hated. And then, so these two are unfavorable. And then other four, there are two who are Vaidhi Bhakti. One is affection of the Pandavas and Juyam Bhayam Vibho, yes. And Narad Muni is Bhakti. That Bhakti is emphasized as a Vaidhi Bhakti. So these two are not for Braja Bhakti. Because Vaidhi, you don't go there. So then what is left is two types. One is Kamarupa, one is Sambandha Atmika. Kamatmika and Sambandha Atmika. You can say Kamarupa is the same thing, just a phrasing. So Kamatmika, Sambandha Atmika or Kamarupa, Sambandha Rupa. Sambandha Rupa means their Sambandha is forefront, like Krishna's, like Jadavas. In Vrindavan, Mother Jashoda's relationship is first, is my son. Then the love follows with it. But Kamarupa has a three division. Can everybody say? First is Sadharani. Sadharani means in general, Kamarupa. They are this Kubja. Kubja is Ravana's sister, Surpanaka. She came as a Kubja. She had a one qualification. She wanted to marry Ram. Yeah, she had a bad quality, you can say, that she was attacking Sita because she's on the way. Because he say Akopati Pratna, one wife. But that's not taken seriously because her attraction to marry Krishna, this is natural. Radharani even make a joke about it. Anyway, I won't go that route. It's a beautiful pastime. Yeah, Radharani actually accused Krishna. What was her fault? You are so beautiful, so handsome. So she saw you. Is it her fault that you are so beautiful? Naturally, she got attracted. But you, what did you do? You are so bad. You cut her nose. And yet, We should not think like this, but Radharani accused.
That's not God.
Yeah, that's the duty of Guru. Lakshman is a Guru. Guru purifies. So anyhow, back to this. And then above them is, so everybody say, Sadharani, above is Samanjasa, above is Samartha. The gopis' love in Kamarupa is Samartha. Samartha means they will do anything to please Krishna.
What are these? What are we listening to? What types of?
They are all Kamarupa Bhakti, but there is a gradation. Means Kubja does not feel incessant, passionate love for Krishna all the time. Only she thinks or remember or sees, all her emotion pours out. So that's very powerful, but not all the time. But Gopi is all the time. And Samanjasa means adjustment by the Rukmini Devi, Satyabhama, Mitravinda, Lakshmana, Sulakshmana, Jambavati. They are Samanjasa. Samanjasa means Krishna needs this. Yes, wait. But this is not proper. I am a wife. I should not act like this. They will think like this. They have their responsibility, personality. They don't want to go against scripture. They love Krishna. There's nothing wrong. Absolutely, they love Krishna. Nobody else. But that love has some restriction. And a great example of this food dust. Rukmini Devi says, I want to remove his headache, but I can't put my food dust to his forehead. And Gopi says, anything. We should not be artificial, but we should respect also them. That is required. Okay, go ahead, please. You have a 5 minutes.
Oh,
Then we'll start at 4.
oh, okay. I'll just then finish.
Because you're covering 2 chapters.
Yeah. So
Yeah, they are interrelated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I'll just read out the paragraph and then we'll continue.
Okay.
So the sensual attraction. So the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kaviraj Krishna Das, has explained it's in page 123, second paragraph. Has explained the distinction between the lusty desire and the service attitude in this statement. Lusty desire refers to desire to gratify one's personal senses, and transcendental desire refers to the desire for serving the sense of the Lord. In the material world, there is no such thing as lovers wanting to please the sense of his beloved. Actually, in the material world, everyone wants mainly to gratify his own personal senses. The gopis, however, wanted nothing at all but to gratify the senses of the Lord, and there is no instance of this in the material world. Therefore, the gopis' ecstatic love for Krishna is sometimes described by scholars as being the lusty desire of the material world. But actually, this should not be taken as a literal fact. It is simply a way of trying to understand the transcendental situation. So, yeah. So
That's
then
good.
I just have one more.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so from this previous story, both in 3D Yoga and that got transferred to Dwapara Yoga. So what we have to learn. So even though Kucha was very crooked and was in a very, very unfortunate, pitiful condition physically, Krishna saw potential in her. So what does that mean? So Krishna did not see her hunchback, he saw the potential in her. He actually gave her the realization of her potential. So whenever we think of like who is Kubja, we like normal people will say, oh, it's a woman with a hunchback. But for Krishna, he actually saw that there is a potential in her, and he really did not look at the physical disabilities. So she was in a very lamentable situation, but Krishna saw her potential, and because he saw the potential, he manifested it before her. Now, actually, Krishna sees the potential and beauty in every living being. That should be our hope.
Yes, very good.
Emotionally, mentally, physically, we all have our crookedness. For example, Nityananda Prabhu saw the potential in Jagai and Madai. Then Hanuman saw potential in Ravana. And of course, Ravana was not very cooperative. He was very dominant. But in general, this is Krishna's vision. He descends into this world where there is so much crookedness, but he sees the spiritual potential in everyone. Actually, this also refers to Srila Prabhupada's journey. So when he came to New York, and if you read it generally Rasamrita and also from his lectures, that these people that who are coming were like Kubjas, very crooked, talking all sorts of intoxication, illicit relationships. They were not seekers of the truth, but many of them were in a pitiful condition and very crooked. They were not even Kubja who come to Krishna with the nice fragrances. They have bad fragrances. So what does that mean to us is we need to make choices. It's given like a guidance, like Prabhupada is giving guidance, and at least now we have a lot of books. So we must encourage other people to read the books. Now it's then if they don't take it, then that's up to them. But we need to do our responsibility of spreading the word and help them like elevate their situation. So with that, I will stop my session here and then we'll continue.
Wow, I see ISKCON future leader. It's very nice. I pray for you become a good leader. That's very nice. Thank you. That was wonderful presentation. Only thing that I was thinking like she's going to say Krishna is the best chiropractor. The origin of chiropractic. Yeah. Because we were researching one time. Krishna actually with his left toe hit Kubja's toes and chin, this chin palate with the teeth where this Krishna actually, this is a high acupuncturist. If you ask them, they will tell you actually there is a nerve that they actually pin if you have a toothache or other. So Krishna actually touched there and just lift it up. And she became the most beautiful.
Yeah.
Most beautiful.
Yeah.
But good quality was that she was not attracted to anybody else, only Krishna. That was the best thing. This is a very nice presentation. Wonderful. Jai Mother Amma Devi ki Jai. So we are looking forward at 4 o'clock to see the rest of the presentation.
I have a question. Why she did not immediately attract Krishna at time? When she
Where?
was walking towards the holding the fragrance like sandal, going towards the first council, right? And Krishna and Balaram saw. Why she did not immediately attack someone?
She's a servant, right? So she needs to attend to her Lord first, I mean her boss. Well, she gave it
But-
to him.
But Krishna, because she wanted to get married at the past time, right? Suparna, right? So immediately she's supposed to whom attraction. Oh, my Lord is there. See, why she not jump?
It's very easy to think that way because in front of Big Brother, did you ever look at your girlfriend? No. No. I'm also, I know what are you talking. I'm also talking. Did you have a big brother?
Yeah, I have.
Did you have a girlfriend?
Yeah.
In front of your big brother, you don't look at the girlfriend. But you look at from the side glance. She's there. So Balaram was there with Krishna. You have to think, there is the etiquette. There is the etiquette. So it is them get involved with the laundryman, with the garland maker. They got involved. So they wanted to get involved. Then Kubja came forward. She had no hesitant. She was very happy to smear those beautiful perfume and paste that she makes for Kamsa. She did not hesitate anything. She wanted to offer it. Laundryman did not offer. He was hesitating. There's a big deal. But we'll talk about more about Kubja later. Thank you. All right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Looking forward to see you all at 4 o'clock. Vancha kalpatarubhasya kripa sindhubhyo patitana pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo.